live from the Coachella Valley. Time for another hour of the desert scene. Art exhibitions to modernism, music festivals to live theater, big screen, little screen, and very little screen. This is the Culture Corner with Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza. Here's Bonnie and Brayan on iHub Radio.
And we are back on the Culture Corner. We're now joined, I'm really excited to be chatting with Julie Montante, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her last name right, who is the owner of the brand new 420 Bank and Lounge at 296 South Palm Canyon Drive. It's a great marijuana dispensary and lounge. It's beautiful, and they just had their grand opening the other day. Hi, Julie. How are you?
Hi, Bonnie. How are you doing?
Good. So, were you? How did the grand? I was there just for a little while. Were you happy with the way the grand opening went?
You know what? It was so amazing. I was so proud of the chamber and all the council people that came out, and it was just all the staff members. It was just blessed to see that the city stands behind you on something that's good for the people. Yeah.
So tell me how long, how much red tape, how involved a process was it to get this place, secure that location and get it up and running?
So, Bonnie, the building had stood vacant for 23 years, and it had great bones when I looked at it. Mm-hmm. My friend Jim Stewart, who passed this December from COVID, actually said, "Hey, come here, I have a great building I want you to look at." And I said, I've always looked at this building, and I thought someday I would do something with it. I've been in the desert now for about 30 years. Mm-hmm. So I looked at it, and it was nothing but junk on the inside and trash on the inside. But I looked up at the ceiling, and I saw these beautiful beams and these beautiful glass as the roof. And it was like, yep, I already had the vision. I had the design already planned out. So from there, it took about a year and a half. And, through COVID, we had our construction team working on it. And I could have actually opened earlier, but to what? I didn't really want to, have any issues with COVID, and I wanted to make sure everybody felt safe. And I think we opened at a really great time. We had our opening on 420, which was amazing and beautiful, and everything just went really well.
Now, it's 38,000 square feet, which is amazing. It's beautiful, nice big building, and it's one of the largest in the United States. Is that true? Is it the largest?
Actually, we are going. We've been interviewed by the Guinness Book of World Records for largest cannabis store and dispensary.
Wow.
And lounge, I should say. So yeah, we're working on it. So we submitted everything, and now we're just waiting for them to come out. So that will be our next breaking news once we get to that point.
Okay, and so tell people, you can come in. Now you have this great stage, and you have entertainment. You can have entertainment on a regular basis, correct?
Yes, we have a stage on the inside. We're going to start next Tuesday, jazz. We're going to have, it's open to everyone. So we're going to have bingo. We're going to have drag bingo. We're going to have entertainment. Jeff Hawker will be providing an amazing amount of entertainment for us. We are also planning to try to get our permit for outside music. I don't know if you were there late enough, but we had a band outside, and the weather was just so beautiful. And, it's great to see people out again and see them happy and being, taking all the distant measures that they needed to do and wearing their masks.
Right.
And it was just lovely to see everybody have a really good time. It really made my heart feel good.
Yeah. I saw, we were there when Keisha D was in. Keisha D was inside with Philly Joe Littell. They were fabulous. Keisha's a good friend, so that was fabulous to see her. And, one of the things I like, just a shameless plug for myself, right in front of the fountain is my star. I have a star on the Palm Springs Walk of Stars, and it's right there in front of your building, in front of the fountain.
I think that's awesome. And, Keisha, we've been treating Keisha for a long time now. Mm-hmm. And, we also, unfortunately, what's his name just passed away, the musician.
Oh, Pat Rizzo. Pat Rizzo.
And I have been treating him for at least 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, with cannabis, don't ever think that cannabis, if people want an alternative, I have to tell you, cannabis is the way to go.
Mm-hmm. And I think
it definitely works.
Yeah, that's so great that more and more people are understanding that, and it's losing its stigma. And people are really finding as I understand it, there's been so much research that it really is helpful for a lot of medical issues. Isn't that the case?
You know what? Yes, it is. And there's so many, mad scientists out there and people that have played and I don't want to even say played, have been scientifically behind this, that, there's government studies, there's all kinds of studies. I mean, I've spoken to many different government agencies and people that, they're doing their own testing, and some are good and some are bad and some are uneducated. Mm-hmm. So, I've been in cannabis for over 20 years. So for me, I'm like the crazy witch doctor in a way.
And, I wonder what, for some people, I think the stigma is... For some people, I think it's just an old, stubborn mindset that there's really no scientific basis for, and they can't even really give you a scientific basis for it. And it's just an old mindset that they can't get rid of. Is that what you've found?
Bonnie, marijuana is a thistle. It's grown naturally in the ground. Mm-hmm. It was a Native American plant, an herb like yarrow or any of the others. And, they just found the medicinal use for it. And then they've created strains, and you can go buy your hybrids, your indicas, your sativas, ones that will put you, they say, in the couch. That's an indica, which will make you sleep. You have a sativa, which will keep you alert and energetic. And then you have your hybrid, who keeps you basically balanced in the middle if you're off balance. Mm-hmm. So then we carry for pets as well. Lots of pets. I've saved lots of pets along the way, and we also have not just the pets, but we have huge lines of CBD oils that if you don't want to go into the THCs, we have CBD, CBN, CBG. So we carry everything, and each one is a micron from the other one. So it's more testing and more scientific analysis that has been going on with these products.
Yeah. And so tell people what are your days and hours, and there's a procedure. When you come in, you have to show ID. Tell people how that works.
So basically, anyone can come in that's 21 and over. You check in at the front. We take a screenshot of your picture, which goes nowhere. But yeah. I mean, we have to identify you.
Right.
And you come in, and I have amazing bud tenders, knowledgeable bud tenders, that you tell them what your issues are, and they'll be able to direct you, whether it's a cookie, an oil, a candy, a chocolate, an herb, a tincture, a salve. We have something for everything. I carry over 300 products.
Wow.
So this store is the biggest array of different products that there is in the marketplace today.
And what are your hours? Are you open 7 days a week?
We're open 7 days a week. Our hours are 10 to 8 during the week, and then 10 to 9 on the weekends, because we will have entertainment as time progresses. And next Tuesday, I believe we're starting jazz inside. And we'll have music outside. We'll see how it goes with the way the weather is and everything else along the way.
And now I noticed you can buy sodas and little snacky things, but not like meals, food, correct?
No, we have vending machines that you're able to have regular water, regular drinks, and we have snacks. And then we also have worked out a partnership with Village Pub next door, where you can order off their menu and they will bring it over to you if you want to sit and lounge and watch TV or watch the band or do whatever you want to do. You can stay as long as you want. You can do whatever you want. We don't really care.
That's excellent. And Village Pub, it's going to be a great partnership. So, for a minute of the time we have left, how did you first get involved in cannabis, so passionately in cannabis for yourself?
You know what? If people read anything about me, my mother had cancer way back when. I'm going back 70 some odd years, and she developed cancer in her 40s, and I was always into acupuncture and herbal medicine. And my girlfriend was a grower, and she wanted to figure out how to get her product on the market or get it out there to help people. And, about 20 years ago, I started illegally like everybody else, and it was a great time of life. It was fun. It was people got what they needed because they didn't want to take regular drugs, and they didn't want to take chemo, and they didn't want to take radiation.
Yeah.
I mean, we had ice creams for people that had radiation that would actually heal the throat from all the burning that they used to have. Unfortunately, now that our governing state doesn't allow that at the moment. So, I started way back when, and then I was asked to I did a lot of seminars for people, a lot of talks. And then the city of Palm Springs said, hey, listen, if you go legal, apply for a license. And I did. And Jenny Fote was a big supporter of mine when she saw me. And I was the first woman, the fourth license in Palm Springs after being illegal in Thousand Palms, Cathedral City. You just got to go where you got to go. When you believe in something this strongly and it heals and helps people, my mission statement is that we have, helped a lot of people. We help HIV, we help cancer, we help anyone with ailments. I work alongside Joe Rosen with Parkinson's.
Yes, yeah.
So we help a lot of people, anyone and anyone. We don't specify to anyone, any gender or anything. We're open to all.
Well, that's fabulous. And, I was just going to say, for people that still, I'm so glad that people are becoming educated about it. But at least from what I understand, no one's ever died of a marijuana overdose, at least as I know. Yeah. In some of these other, pharmaceuticals and some of this other stuff, you can't say that about. So, all right, 420 Bank. It's a beautiful building. Even if you're not a cannabis partaker, it's a great building. You really should go check it out because it's just really amazing. Architecture.
Bonnie, we have lots of games. We have an arcade. We have pool tables. We have chess. So a lot of people can enjoy whatever they want if they just want to sit and get out of the sun for a while as well.
Yeah, and by the way, it is at 296 South Palm Canyon Drive, which is the corner of Palm Canyon and Baristo, and it's a really cool building. And well, congratulations to you on.
Thank you.
Are you surprised that you got to this point in this beautiful building at this point, or had you hoped this happened sooner, or are you kind of amazed at the whole thing?
You know what? When I saw the building, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I designed it a year and a half ago, and I'm just really thrilled the way it came out. And I'm just in love with the building, and it's just a vision that I have. I wanted to take marijuana to a new elevation. I wanted people to see that we're not hidden in little stores, and we're not hidden behind. We're not hidden from the public anymore, and we're part of the system now.
Yes, excellent. Well, congratulations.
Great. And if anybody had any questions, Bonnie, can I give you the number?
Real quick, yes.
760-318-6877 if you have any questions.
All right, 420 Bank, Julie Montante. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Excellent job.
Thank you so much, Bonnie.
All
Thank you.
We'll be back with more Culture Corner in just a bit.
The curtain rises on local and regional arts and entertainment. From music to theater, films to fine art, it's the Culture Corner. Get connected. Call 760-544-TALK. That's 760-544-8255. Here's Bonnie and Brayan on iHub Radio.
On this segment, we're going to try something new. It's called This Day in Pop Culture, where we react to, the last couple days. So starting from the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, what happened during those days in pop culture? What's the important time?
Tell us.
So in 1977, Annie opens on Broadway on April 21st, 1977.
Wow.
Annie, for those of you who actually know this musical. It's based on the Howard Gray comic strip Little Orphan Annie, and other than that, it was very loosely based.
And it ran for a long time.
Oh, yes. I think it ran until 1983, so about 78.
5 years.
5 years.
That's a nice long run. Yeah.
And then it got revised in 1997, and the 1997 revival was, I don't know if you remember, notoriously riddled with controversy. Do you remember what happened
No. Remind me.
So in 1997, when the Annie play was revived, there was a contest on ABC for the girl who plays Annie. Mm-hmm. But what had happened was that they had initially picked one girl, and then they decided halfway through the production, because the girl got sick through the previews and all that, they decided to drop her, even though she got rave reviews. Mm-hmm. And they brought in one of the orphans, not her understudy, but one of the orphans, and they groomed her to be the next Annie. And so there was a whole controversy about the girl being replaced, and it actually, because of that, because a lot of people were invested because of the contest through Good Morning America, the sales dipped. The sold out show became a flop, and so a lot of people remember that show being that part being a disaster, because they felt that little girl, Joanna McCurdy, deserved that Annie spot in, that she should have never been replaced.
Now I know the first Broadway, it was Andrea McArdle, right? Yeah. And I know somewhere along the line, Sarah Jessica Parker played Annie at some point, and I don't remember where in the
80s, like she was the third Annie. Okay. And so later on, like, Annie got made into a movie in 1982, which was the year before it closed down on Broadway, and the show was nominated for 11 Tony Awards and won 7. And then later on, Annie was remade into a movie in 1999, and then again in 2014. So 3 adaptations on film and 2 revivals, because another one was in 2012, and that got a lot of love. Okay. And another thing that happened in pop culture, the Space Needle opens on April 21st, 1962.
In Seattle. Wow.
And another thing that happened in 1986 for April 21st, Geraldo Rivera opens Al Capone's vaults and finds nothing.
I remember that. That was, God, a big scandal at the time.
It was one of those things where it's like, for me, the funniest thing looking back at it, it's just Gerardo's face and seeing his utter disappointment, because he thought that was going to be the big story.
Geraldo, God bless him. I mean, I used to like him, but he's kind of done some dumb stuff over the years, and anyway.
And it's just if you don't like Geraldo Rivera, you look up that clip sometime and you'll have
your chuckle. Yeah,
have your chuckle at his expense.
What else?
On April 22nd, which was yesterday, in 1864, America got there was a minting of the 2-cent coin with the Coinage Act. So America did have a 2-cent coin for a brief while, and I
don't even remember that. Really?
Oh yeah, it was like 1864, so it's like way before anyone's time.
I don't even remember ever hearing about it though.
And and then the next year they started put "In God We Trust" on the coins, so it sort of became like the coin. It was part of this it was part of an act where the Coinage Act, where they allowed the federal law made the 2-cent coin along with the "In God We Trust" being imprinted on them. So it's a process, kind of like how the Harriet Tubman $20 bill is a process that when are they going to release that is sort of the joke. Yeah. And in April 22nd, 2012, the television series Veep premiered with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She has won over the course of its 7 years. It won 6 Emmy. It actually won a lot of awards, but 6 Emmys in particular went to Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
That's a lot of Emmys, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And she actually was the first person and possibly the only person to break the Seinfeld curse. The curse that meant that if you were on Seinfeld, you weren't going to be so successful afterwards.
Huh. I'd never heard that.
And there was also in 1985, today actually, new Coke is put on store shelves. So if Your face, like you remember New Coke.
I never liked it. Well, I mean, I got luckily about 5 years ago, I got off Coke and Pepsi totally. I used to because it's really not good for you. It's not good for your throat if you're a voice actor. But New Coke, I never liked New Coke.
Now, New Coke was actually meant to replace the old formula of Coca-Cola because it wasn't doing so well, but it was actually a failure because it turns out, well, people
like the old one,
and don't want you to touch their formula, and it's not, and it's considered one of the legendary forgotten beverages and failures. And then it did come back in 2019.
Okay.
It came back because it was a part of a promotion with Stranger Things, a TV show that takes place in the 80s. So they had an episode where they talk about New Coke and Old Coke. Yeah. So it was all a big commercial for that, but it's wonderful.
All right. I love this segment, Brian. We got to do this every week.
We got to do it.
All right. We'll be back with more on the Culture Corner in just a bit.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Live from the desert cities of Southern California, here's Brayan and Bonnie.
And we're back on the Culture Corner, and so happy now to welcome to the show James Beauton. I'm sure I would get that right. I'm sorry, my bad on the pronunciation. He's the youth music director and conductor for the Buddy Rogers Youth Symphony. Hi, James. How are you?
Hi there. How are you doing?
Good. So you got a big event coming up. So just going to read a little bit of this. The LA Phil affiliates in the desert have partnered with Coachella Valley Symphony and the Buddy Rogers Youth Symphony to present a Zoom salon on Tuesday, April 27th, 5 p.m. So tell us a little bit about this. This sounds really like a great event.
Yeah, it is. I'm really excited for it. First of all, I have to say you got my name perfectly, so
okay.
no worries there. That was absolutely right. I'm quite excited for this event. It is the LA Phil affiliates. They're an organization that is partnered or runs through the Los Angeles Philharmonic that works to kind of give exposure or give more outreach opportunities to local community orchestras and other organizations. And we were really happy to be able to have an event with them. So we're going to be talking about my history of with the organization, which has been relatively new. There's some fun stories there. Our music director, John Mario, is a crack up, and we're going to certainly going to be having a great time as well.
And so you're featuring some musical selections from some artists. So Aaron Shen, a violinist, John Mario, music director and conductor, and yourself also. Are you going to be performing as well?
Yes, we're going to be playing because we've all been doing this on Zoom for such a time now. We've learned the best way to maybe share music sometimes on Zoom is not necessarily live. So we're going to be playing pre-recorded selections. One of the Coachella Valley Symphony with John Mario conducting. And I think I'm in the percussion section back there as well. And in that concert we did last year, Aaron Shen is playing. We're going to be playing a trio with other youth members that are like the rising stars of the Buddy Rogers Youth Symphony, and that also play in Coachella Valley. And then I will be sharing a video of a marimba solo that I recorded in October of this year. Okay,
and so tell us, I'm looking at some of the background. So Aaron Shen, she started as a musician and violinist in Buddy Rogers when she was 8. So can you tell us a little bit more about her?
Yeah, Aaron has been a huge help to me since I've only been part of the organization for about a year and a half now. And the way it works is that she came up through the group, right? She started young, and then she played in the Buddy Rogers the Buddy Rogers Youth Symphony until then she graduated, not from high school even. She was she started playing in the Coachella Valley Symphony, the adult orchestra, when she was still in high school. As many of our youth, our youth that progress quickly and strongly, they oftentimes do. So it's really kind of a feeder group to the Coachella Valley Symphony, but so that allows there to kind of be this, cross-pollination between, because my other role with the symphony is also assistant conductor of the Coachella Valley Symphony. So there's this nice sort of like community base that happens between the two orchestras, and And so what I actually started doing with Erin in the recent year is that since she was kind of a graduate of the Buddy Rogers Symphony, then plays in the CV Symphony, then I was kind of using her as my like student helper, like a teaching assistant almost, when we were doing Buddy Rogers Symphony rehearsals, and I could rely on her to help the younger kids, and like she would make everyone feel really comfortable, and then we would be able to kind of streamline rehearsals even better. So she's been a huge help, super enthusiastic human being, and a great player.
Okay, super. And John Mario, I'm looking at the music director and conductor for the Coachella Symphony, was previously principal tour conductor for Jackie Evancho's Journey with Me and Songs of the Silver Screen Tour. So tell us a little bit more. He sounds pretty impressive, too.
John Mario is a riot. John and I met. Well, I won't give too much away because we're planning on telling the story of how we met and how I got involved with the symphony on Tuesday as part of the Gilgallon. So you're going to have to come back to hear that. But it is a riot. And, John has worked with singers like quite substantially. And that, whether that's opera or with the Jackie Evancho tour, and his energy on the podium is this sort of like, how do I say? It's like a cyclone. It just draws you in, right? And you see it in rehearsal. Everyone's smiling, laughing, but we're still working, right? And it's just this really motivational, inspiring energy that he brings to every interaction.
Excellent. And now, you were saying earlier that you're a little bit new to the symphony. So tell us a little about your background and how you came into this position.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit new to conducting, to be honest. My background as a musician is being a percussionist. So I've been playing in orchestras my entire life. When I was younger, I started out to be a timpanist, which I always attribute to why I eventually became a conductor, because the requirements are very similar, right? You have to know a lot of the parts. I need to know what pitches that the bass section has so I can tune my drums and that right, so I'm not flat or sharp. I need to be able to. I help the conductor as the timpanist because I give the punctuation to large notes, right? So I worked as a percussionist through most of my life, and then a couple of years ago I was doing my doctorate at UC San Diego. In San Diego, in La Jolla, and I was on the shuttle on the bus, and I happened to sit down next to someone who was going to a faculty meeting to decide who would be the next conductor of the wind ensemble at UC San Diego. And I just started striking up conversation with this faculty. I met her that day, just kind of talking on the bus. And she said, well, I don't know. We're trying to figure out who should do this because it was a graduate student position at the time. And I said, well, I've never conducted, but I'll give it a shot. And that was, 3 years ago. And now I only conduct, essentially.
Wow.
So it kind of happened. And then we got involved with the Coachella Valley Symphony, and here we are.
So tell us a little bit about, let's talk about the Buddy Rogers Youth Symphony, first of all. How many members are in it? What are the age ranges? Do you have auditions every year? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we accept pretty much right now. We've actually expanded. There are two groups now. There's the Buddy Rogers Youth Symphony, and there's also the Buddy Rogers String Orchestra. And what we actually did last year before the pandemic hit was we had a grant program that we were selected for, that we were able to purchase string instruments for students to rent free of charge. And what that did was it gave access for a lot more people to start learning strings and violin, viola, cello. And so that started our string orchestra. So our numbers are actually in flux right now because we've rented out every single instrument that I think there were maybe 25. Don't quote me on the number.
Okay.
But then also so we have that in the beginning orchestra, and then in the Buddy Rogers group, this year we had about 14, 15 students that were also playing winds and strings. So combined, that's over 30 kids in our group.
And in a normal season, when we don't have a virus, how often does the youth orchestra perform normally? I didn't really get a chance to do what I wanted to because of all this, but in my perfect world, we would perform twice. Once if we go on the semester schedule. In the fall semester, I would like to do 2, and then in the spring, I'd like to do 2 as well. Kind of like a Halloween and a winter, and then sort of spring, and then mid-June or early June summer performance. And we were on track to do those
last year.
So when you came here to the desert, were you? I mean, I have always found, I'm a singer and an actor, stage actress, in addition to doing the show, that the Valley, Coachella Valley, is very, actually, the audiences are pretty sophisticated and really respect and love the arts. And I have found the audiences here amazingly receptive. Have you found that as well?
Oh yes, I mean I love our concerts because I love going out in the middle of during intermission and just chatting with people, because everybody's there because they love it and they want to be there. And like I said, John Mario's energy in every situation always makes for enticing conversation at the intermission. So I love hanging out with our audience during and also after the show. But as a percussionist, I'm also moving stuff, so usually I get it in the intermission.
Yeah, and also now I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that both the youth orchestra and the Coachella Valley Symphony, to some degree, rely on donations to keep running.
Oh yes, I think that you could say that about really pretty much every orchestra, especially in this country, especially community orchestras. It's one of those things where, and I've actually been thinking about this a lot recently as we are starting to hear rumors of reopening and starting to try again in the fall, that even though it is very promising, these sorts of organizations, especially ours, we are going to be reliant on those sorts of things even more now. So any sort of help that we can get from the community is going to keep us going and keep us bringing music to our audience.
Yeah, and I'm also reading about the Coachella Valley Symphony itself, 50-plus piece orchestra. They perform a number of times throughout the year. And let's see, in 1993, through the tireless efforts of Jeanette Mendoza, and who I believe we interviewed at one point back when, founded it. So you're still rolling. I mean, that's pretty impressive, especially, and given that with the pandemic, the arts have been suffering a lot. Have you guys stayed positive and kept morale up during all this?
Well, I mean, the one positive thing about the pandemic with regards to this orchestra is I've been able to really get to know the board of directors and the committee, the different committees that the orchestra has. We have meetings every month on Zoom and have had for the last year or so. And as we've been planning, of course, we have not been able to meet for rehearsals or have concerts for the adult orchestra, but we've been pivoting and making sure that we have a plan for when we can, and we're doing the best we can. I can say with the Buddy Rogers group, though, I was able to turn the whole thing around and make a virtual component that has been happening weekly for the whole past season. So the Buddy Rogers Symphony and the string orchestra have been operating still just in a virtual context. Mm-hmm.
And what's in a perfect world, let's say in the fall, everything's reopened and back to normal. Do you have some other big projects percolating in the back of your mind for upcoming seasons?
Oh, I honestly, with the Buddy Rogers group, I just want to get us all in the same room.
Yeah.
I want that first note. I want that, even the tuning note will bring a tear to my eye, I believe, because that is what we're all missing. And I keep in touch as much as I can with the members, as virtually as best you can. And you can really tell that it's wearing on them, especially the kids, especially the high school kids, right? And this is tough. So honestly, I'm just looking at that. There are a couple other projects I have with other organizations that are like very hopeful. I am actually conducting in the summer a summer orchestra outside of a string ensemble. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But I honestly just want to see I just want to get back to a rehearsal. It's just, those are the best times,
Absolutely. All right. So again, it's a showcase of young emerging musicians, LA Phil affiliates in the desert with Coachella Valley Symphony and Buddy Rogers Youth Symphony. It's a Zoom salon on Tuesday, April 27th, 5 p.m. For Zoom registration, they can contact Coachella Valley Symphony at gmail.com. So if they want to take part in this or view this, that's what they would do?
Yes, you need to register ahead of time. I don't think there's a cap, but it is good to know that you have a spot as soon as you have it. So, yeah, register for that. That's the link. That's where you go, and it would be great to have as many people in there, and you can learn the stories of how we all are doing this.
Excellent. Well, James Beauton, say that again, Youth Music Director. Thank you so much. What a wonderful event. A great way for the kids and everybody to get the music out and for us to enjoy it. Thank you so much for your work, and look forward to that event. And thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We'll be back with more in the Culture Corner in just a bit.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Here are Bonnie and Brayan.
On this final segment of the Culture Corner, we're going to go ahead and talk about a couple of positive news to end the show with. So Levar Burton, starting on July 26th to the 30th, is going to be guest hosting Jeopardy.
Excellent.
And along with that, a couple other people are going to be guest hosting as well. Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, David Faber, and Joe Buck.
Joe Buck. Why do I know the name and I can't remember why I know the name? Is he a sports guy? Is he a country music guy? I can't remember.
You know, every time I heard I think Joe Buck is like that's a good question. I'm trying to remember who that is. I think he is a sports guy.
I know
he's
the
a
name.
sports announcer.
Okay.
He's a sports announcer.
Okay.
But every time I hear the name Joe Buck, I keep thinking, oh, the main character from Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah. And the other, David Faber, isn't he an actor? I don't recall him either right off the top of my head.
He's a journalist.
okay.
David Faber is a journalist for CNBC.
Okay. All right.
And the one curious thing about Levar Burton's inclusion in this list, because they put out a tweet for season 37, Levar Burton's name is the only one that got an exclamation mark on it on the tweet. So a lot of people are really curious about why that is. And the other thing is that Levar Burton's the one that everyone's been pushing for.
People wrote in. There was a write-in campaign for him, I think.
Oh yeah, a write-in campaign, a petition, and they felt, and a lot of people are saying that Levar Burton himself should be the permanent host. So there's sort of this like arc towards it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeopardy. For me, the exciting thing about Jeopardy is who is going to be the permanent guest, permanent host for it. Now, the hosts you've seen, which ones have been your favorite so far?
Well, right now, Anderson Cooper is doing it this weekend, and I think he's fabulous. He's at the top of my list. I thought, what's his name? Aaron Rodgers did a really nice job. And I like Levar Burton. Of course, I haven't seen him do this yet, but I mean, I know I've seen him do other stuff. So I'm going to say... Yeah, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be too busy doing other stuff. So I'm going to go. My top two, I think, are Anderson Cooper and probably LeVar Burton. Probably.
Yeah, I think LeVar Burton's going to do really good. I think Robin Roberts is going to do really good too. I like her. George Stephanopoulos, I think he'll be good too. But I feel like for the most part of the ones that are coming up, I think LeVar Burton's the one that most likely will be the one that will be great at it. Mm-hmm. Not to say that the other ones won't be great.
Well, he did the Reading Rainbow thing, so he's always had that educational side to him. Yeah.
And that experience, and I think that he's always sort of perceived as a very wholesome type of person.
Very likable. I don't think anybody, I've never heard anybody say they didn't like him. I mean, he's just a good actor and seems very likable.
Oh, yeah. And even then, even decades after Roots, he only did 2 out of the 8 episodes. But the fact that he's still the face,
so memorable, yeah,
he's still the face of that movie. It's remarkable how LeVar Burton has this like really unique legacy of being on Star Trek and being on Roots and Reading Rainbow.
And the other thing is, and I like him. It wouldn't matter if he were green or purple, but I think he's fabulous, and I think he's doing a great job. But I think if they chose him, I think it would be just one more step having an African-American man hosting Jeopardy. Just one more step of inclusion that is good for us right now.
Oh, yeah. And the fact that even Alex Trebek, he even wanted a black woman who unfortunately passed away a couple weeks ago, would have wanted a black woman to be the lead, because I think he's one of those people that he is able to spot talent in places that people aren't looking.
Might not have looked, yeah.
And LeVar Burton is certainly one of those people that has certainly overcome a lot of barriers to get to where he is, and it's great. And honestly, if I think Jeopardy would benefit a lot from LeVar Burton. So hopefully we'll see where it goes. And you're right, it would be a very progressive step forward, especially considering that on game shows it's primarily a space for like a lot of like white men or the
but now Anderson Cooper is gay, so that would be that inclusiveness. So I think I of all the people mentioned, all the people that we've seen, those two are in my top. Those are my top 2.
Oh yeah, and I think that having a variety of different hosts even if they end up with someone who is like a white straight man, at least what they did was that they opened up like the field to give different types of people and voices.
And got responses from people, got feedback from people of who liked to and why,
And so it would be a much more fair decision on that end rather than just
pick somebody.
Somebody, you know what I mean? But I wanted to end the show on a very good note. So Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal.
I like him.
No, I think he's one of the more likable.
He cracks me up. His commercials crack me up. His smile, he's just so goofy.
And it's just he's a great basketball player, but he's, like you said, such a charismatic soul. So what he did was that he went out shopping. He ran into a stranger at a jewelry shop Tuesday, and he decided to make that man's day by paying off his engagement ring that he had on layaway. So the young man actually had asked the clerk, hey, how much money do I owe you? How much money is left on the payments? And so Shaquille O'Neal went up to him and passed his credit card over to the employee and actually paid off the engagement ring.
Good for him.
And I think it's a really sweet gesture, and I think that in a lot of ways, I've always talked to my friends about how sometimes I wish that sometimes I wish that people who would do, let's say, who have a lot of money, would not just donate to charity, but actually help out people that are in their everyday lives.
Individual people. You aren't expecting it or working hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And like charities, in my opinion, they're great, but it's different when you to
one person and just shocked out of the blue. Yeah.
And it's wonderful in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that Shaquille O'Neal just shows you what kind of person he is. Like the fact I've seen interviews with him where you look at him and it's like, this man is the same man that he was when he wasn't famous. Like when he wasn't famous and rich, he has not changed. In fact, he's probably become he's become the person he's always going to be, even without money.
But didn't let fame and money change him, and a lot of people do, sadly.
No, yeah, and I've seen a lot of funny enough, I've seen a lot of people that were not so famous, like they were underground actors and then they became super famous, and then you start to see them and it's like, oh, they used to be so nice.
It's gone to their head.
It's gone to their head. But in the case of Shaquille O'Neal, I've heard some really positive things. Another thing I heard about was that he actually helped a stranded driver on a Florida highway after they crashed. This driver crashed and he helped them out.
Yeah.
I don't know much more than that, but it just seems like he's an overall really good guy.
And the thing I love about some of the commercials he does, Icy Hot and whatever else, is you can tell he doesn't take himself seriously. He can laugh at himself and laugh at his persona and just joke around, and that's great. I love to see that.
Yeah, and it's great to see, and the fact that he even makes fun of his own height, and he makes just one of those people
He's like a down-to-earth real guy. And
I would like to meet him one day, just because, again, like you said,
okay, Shaq, if you happen to be in Palm Springs, you happen to be listening to the Culture Corner, we'd love to get you on. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be so awesome. Yeah. But that's a wrap on this episode of the Culture Corner.
Thank you to our guests. Stay safe out there. Get your vaccination. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.